You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. It is the Motivation and Mindset Monday show of the week, and I'm excited to get this week started off right. The Motivation and Mindset Monday shows are absolutely some of my favorite, mainly because it is working on me. It's trying to get me to focus on what I need to do and who I need to be in order to take my life to that next level. Because the topic of today's show is growth. But it's not growth for the sake of growth. It comes with the understanding that we are either growing or we are dying. And it has nothing to do with chronological age and every year that we celebrate a new birthday. This has to do with a certain outlook on life. It is the understanding that you cannot stay stagnant in life. You can't. That means you are dying. You're literally going backwards. Nothing in life stays static. The entire universe is in constant movement. So if you believe that you can just sit there and rest on your laurels of what you've done in the past, it never works that way. It simply never works that way. You can't do it with raising a family. You can't do it with your career. Someone is always going to move past you, or your kids, they're going to start to act up in a different way. Same with relationships. You can't just say, well, last year, do you remember when I took you out to dinner? No, you can't do that. You need to constantly be working on those things that you care about in your life. Because remember, if you don't care about them and you don't pay attention to them, they will begin to shrivel up and die. And maybe that's okay. That's why you want to let go of some of those patterns you need to let go of, right? That's absolutely true. And put your attention back on those things that need to thrive. Because when they need to thrive, when they need to be at their best, when you need to be at your best in life, this is when you need to be focused on growth. And the reason for today's show, the topic came about on an Instagram post that I was reading. And one of the nice things that you can actually use social media for is you can use it to, if you follow the right people, it can be a constant reminder for you of how you can improve your life. Now, don't fall for the trap when you look at people's accounts and they're all posed and people are looking fantastic and they're always happy and they're always made up. No. That's not real life. I mean, I live in Boston, I live in the city, and I'll walk through the Boston Public Gardens, and it's this, beautiful, serene environment where there's a huge duck pond in the middle, there are benches all around, beautiful trees planted hundreds of years ago. It's absolutely exquisite. And then I look over, and there are people standing on benches taking a photo of their friend who's lying on the ground, posing for social media. And again, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I laugh. No big deal. Like, I'm not looking down upon anyone. But just keep in mind, what you see on social media is posed. Now, the good thing about social and Instagram, places like that are very popular right now, is that you can take a lot of motivation from that. If you take it for what it's worth, you can use that to say, hey, let's celebrate the best of life. And that is a beautiful thing. One of the things that I love, just like most people, is I love quotes. Well, this went beyond a quote of what I read the other day, and I want to read it to you and just see if it strikes a chord with you. But I also want to break it down because there's so much meaning in just these 3 or 4 sentences. So here it is. The title of it was this: You're not stuck. You're just committed to certain patterns of behavior because they helped you in the past. Now, those behaviors have become more harmful than helpful. The reason why you can't move forward is because you keep applying an old formula to a new level in your life. Change the formula to get a different result. Love that. I don't believe that could have been said better or more succinctly, which is why if I can't do it better, I give credit where credit's due. I wanted to read you the exact quote. Now, who knows who actually knows who first came up with this? It's been reposted so many times. It says House of Leaders is one, Awake_Spiritual is another. I have no idea whose original this was. It sounds like something that a Zig Ziglar would say, a Jim Rohn, but it could have been someone before that. What about Earl Nightingale? He came first. Or what about Neville Goddard? All of these people came before the Jim Rohns and the Zig Ziglars and the Tony Robbins and all the other great leaders of today. So sometimes, to be honest, it doesn't really matter who said it. It's nice to give credit where credit's due whenever possible. But again, we had the Ayurvedic sages and Vedas 6,000 years ago also espousing these quotes and brilliant truths. But let's get into it now. Let's not worry about who the first was to say it. But let's say this. The first line is this. So you're not stuck. You're just committed to certain patterns of behavior because they helped you in the past. And this is the truth. Our subconscious mind, which we've spoken about on this show before, is made up of programs that have been given to us before the age of 7 years old, or certainly before the age of 8 years old. And that's embedded. That is essentially computer software that we're not aware of that's running programs. You probably don't even know how your computer runs, neither do I, but it runs on software. It runs on code, right? So I press this button and the computer does this. It's reliable, right? Well, that's what you've been given. You've been given things that you're told to be afraid of. You've been given things that you've been told you should be happy when you receive them. Should you be? I don't know, right? That is for us to constantly ask ourselves to be aware of. But keep in mind, after the age of 7, it doesn't mean that you're fully programmed, right? You create new formulas and ways of living based on, has this made your life easier? Has it made you happier? Because we're always trying to move towards reward, which might be love and appreciation, and move away from pain. That's what we are literally programmed to do, because we are natural beings too. So, for example, if a tree needs more sun, it starts to grow towards the sun and out of another tree's shade. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but it's absolutely magnificent, right? So we do the things that we need to do to increase pleasure and decrease pain. We are natural entities that live within the universe. Well, some of these things, though, aren't necessarily helpful, right? You might have cheated on tests when you were in school because you needed to pass, because you didn't want the pain of being left behind, or you didn't want the pain of telling your parents that you failed, whatever it might be. But then you're out in the real world and you can't cheat. There's no one to cheat from. You need to do your own work. And the same thing might have been with following a lot of crash diets before. Well, those have caught up with you. Your metabolism is now lower. And now they worked at one point, for sure, going low calorie, doing all sorts of injections to lose weight. I mean, those things can work in the short term, but look what happens in the long term. They slow the thyroid, they destroy the HPA axis, and they leave you with a lowered metabolic rate. Now, it doesn't mean that that's over, but it means that formula is no longer going to work. You can't go even lower calorie. How few of calories could you possibly eat? I mean, that's like the game. Well, I was losing weight when I went down to 1,200, and now it's not working, so I'm going to go down to 1,000, and that stopped working, so now I'm going to go to 800. I mean, how too few calories are you willing to put in your body to lose weight? It's a broken system. It's like exercise. All right, are you exercising to be healthy? Good. Or are you exercising to lose weight? If you're exercising to lose weight and you are doing an hour or more a day, it's too much. You can't maintain that over time. Your body's going to break down. And then finally, one day you get sick and you have to stop and you start to gain the weight back. You're going to be so frustrated. You're going to be so depressed. And I know many people listening to this are already there. They've given up, but you have to understand you were following a formula that originally did work. It worked maybe when you were in your early 20s. It's not going to work in your 30s. Might not work in your 40s. It does not work that way. It doesn't mean necessarily that you were wrong to do it. Never judge yourself in that way. You are always doing, even if it's not the right choice, even if it's an intentionally wrong choice, you are doing the best that you can. You are. We all are. When you cheat on that test or you do the easy crash diet, whatever it might be, you're doing the best that you can because you feel like that's what you have in you right now, right? You don't have more than that. You're not willing to give more. But at some point, those behaviors have now become more harmful than they have helpful. And I love that. They become more harmful than they have helpful. The relationships, the career, whatever it might be. At some point, we need to make the shift. The reason why you can't move forward is because you keep applying an old formula to a new level in your life. And that's a beautiful thing, because as the years pass, if we look at that as chronological time, I fully expect you, just like I expect myself and everyone in my life, to want to continually better themselves. There is no one thing that you have to prove yourself or do in life. All I'm asking you to do is be a little bit better than last year. That's it. Because if you do that, you have a growth-based mindset. And I've talked about this before, but I'm not sure, I really don't believe that there's anything in life that will make you happier than growth. There's very few things. I mean, honestly, because growth comes from an area of your life that you're looking to improve. So, for example, okay, you want to improve your relationships. Great thing, whether it's with your parents, siblings, friends, coworkers, spouse, family, kids, like whatever it might be. Okay, great. What do you need to do to improve that? Well, it has to get better than whatever you're doing right now. So you have a certain formula you are using. It's in the subconscious. This is the way that we act around these people. This is what I typically do. Okay, so we want to improve it, which means that we need to change. Because if we don't change, how do we expect to get a different result? So of course we're going to change. Now, what are we going to change? Well, we're going to change the way that we go about our relationships. And we'll pick, for example, our spouse. Pretty important, I believe at least. And I always say that over and over and over. I tell my wife, believe me, I'm not a perfect person at all. And I say, listen, what can I do if she's unhappy? What can I do to make this situation better? What can I do to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future? I try to look at it as pragmatically as I can. And sometimes my wife doesn't want me to look at it that way. There's no doubt about it. But what I try to do is just say, listen, I want to be better. I don't want to have to get in any arguments. I want us to enjoy every moment that we have together. Now, I know that maybe that's unrealistic, but we can at least shoot for it, right? We can at least work to grow in that way. So if she says, I would love for you not to leave stacks of papers and books all over the house, I would say, where are the papers and books? And of course, she points them out all over the house. And I say, oh, okay, yes, I guess they are all over the house. I didn't notice that because it's not an issue for me, but I understand that you don't like to see these things. Now, this is, of course, and I'm using this in air quotes, a made-up facetious example, but let's just say something word like that to happen. I would say, all right, well, here's what I can do. What one spot can I choose in the house, or can we choose that it would be okay to keep my books and papers there? And she would say, let's do right here. And I say, great. So now, in my mind, what I'm going to do is, when I get new books delivered or I have new papers, stacks of papers, I'm going to put them right there. I still get to keep my books, my papers, but they have to go in this particular area. What am I doing? I am working on my relationship. That's it. So people think that there's this magical space that you get to and you read this one thing or do this one thing. No, it's constantly trying to improve. And then what I'll do is maybe I will ask my wife something of me like, hey, would you mind if, and you do have to phrase it in a way that you're not attacking the other person. Now, besides relationships, what else can we look at? Well, if you are looking to take the weight off and you did the low-calorie diet, you did the over-exercising, you have to understand there's another way. Can't keep doing that same formula. Even if you yo-yo back up and you're like, well, if I go back on that low-calorie diet or low-carb diet, I'm going to lose the weight again. Sure, but you've never been able to sustain that. So you don't want to go down 20, 30 pounds and then go up 20, 30 pounds. That is demoralizing. It's demoralizing to have to shift back and forth between different sizes of clothes. What you want to do is this. You want to develop a system that works then to take you to the next level, that allows you to lose the weight, but not have to fight every day to keep it off. That's the goal. So remember, that new system is going to take you to the next level. Having conversations with your spouse, your children, those people that you want to develop better relationships with, actually ask them. It's a novel idea. Hey, what would make you happier? What would make this a better relationship? I know it's crazy, but you could do that. And that will enable you then. It doesn't have to happen overnight. You can work on it, right? You can work on that. That's what growth truly is. It's not always, this sexy type thing that you're going to be able to like wave that magic wand and everything's good. No, it's simple steps that you can begin to implement that over time really do take you to the next level. And here's the thing, and I've really noticed this and felt this way in my own life, especially over just the past couple years, is that I'm not in a rush to implement a lot of things, to get to that end result, I should say, immediately. So, of course, I can do something like piling my books in a specific pile in a specific place. That's easy, okay? I can do that. But let's say that it's, okay, I want to reach 1 million people a day with the podcast, okay? Let's say that that's a goal. I don't have to say, I need this to come true tomorrow. What I can say is, who do I need to be? How do I need to serve? What information do I need to provide? How can I reach more people in order to achieve that goal? And I don't have to say it has to happen tomorrow. What I have to say is, I need to do this. I need to do this, and I need to do this. And then I can begin to work on those things. Now, I can step back and enjoy the process. As I'm moving through that new process, I can start to say, I can see myself right before my eyes doing the work that is ultimately leading to the new me. And what I've done is I've developed a formula, instead of reaching 1 million people a month, to reach 1 million people a day by doing this, this, and this. And I had to change that formula. It's what I've shared with you before, that when I grew my practice to 20,000 appointments a year, I had a couple options. A couple options were to open more locations. That was never a goal of mine. My goal of mine was to always serve more people. And I said this, I always just ask the questions. And again, I don't know the answers. I don't have all the answers, but I know I can find them. That's the thing. And you can find them too. So I said, instead of reaching 20,000 people a year, how can I reach 20,000 people a day? And I love sharing this story because I said it in 2015 and I started my podcast in 2016. And I said, okay, podcasting seems to be getting popular, or already was popular. Maybe I was a little late to the game. And what I did then was I said, okay, is anyone else reaching 20,000 people a day with the podcast? And people were. So what I did was I hired them as a coach. And I went through the podcasting courses. And I spent about 3 or 4 months doing that. And then I launched in January 2016. Did I reach 20,000 people a day? No. I didn't even reach 20,000 people a month. It took time. But after a couple years, I was reaching 20,000 people a day. And now well over that. So what I'm saying to you is this. You start with a vision for your life. You start with a dream. You have no idea how to achieve that dream, and that's okay. I didn't know how to reach 20,000 people a day. And there were people out there reaching 1 million people a day. So if I could say I want to reach 1 million people a day, I could say I have no idea how to do that, but I would love to be able to reach more people. How can I do that? And I just start to think of some ways. And then I start to look at a few people. And again, that scope gets smaller for people that are actually doing that. And guess what I can do? I can go and read their book, take their course. I can hire them as a coach. Easy. Right? If I just watch what they do, that's free. If I decide to read their book, that might be like $12. If I decide to take their course, maybe it's a couple $1,000s. And if I hire them one-on-one, it will be more expensive, but it will probably get me to my goal faster. Now, I might say to myself, I'm going to start with watching what they do, then read the book, then I'll take the course, and then maybe if I still need more work and more help, I'll hire them as a coach. There are different ways of looking at this. This is simply one example. But what I want you to know is this, is that whatever you're doing right now, don't be frustrated. Don't be frustrated. Or use that frustration to get you to move to a new formula. Because let's say you were happy 2 years ago, you're not happy today. Well, it's probably because you're stagnant. You feel like you're stuck in place. And now we know, by going through a really beautiful, succinct quote, which I want to read to you one more time, we know how to change that. And we know why you feel stuck. We know why sometimes you just feel kind of blah or kind of bored, or you don't feel like you're really enjoying life. Well, listen to this one more time. You're not stuck. You're just committed to certain patterns of behavior because they helped you in the past. Now those behaviors have become more harmful than helpful. The reason why you can't move forward is because you keep applying an old formula to a new level in your life. Change the formula to get a different result. And that is truly what it's all about. If you want a new life, if you want a new version of you, you need to change the things that you do on a daily and weekly basis. If you do that, your life takes care of itself. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. I appreciate you. I really mean that. If I can help you in any way, please always let me know. You can write in at Ask Cabral. You can join the Facebook group. That's free. You can email us. Let me know how I can help you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have an amazing day. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stephencabral.com/courses.